Last time on Final Fantasy IV, we went through the lunar subterrane. A lot. And now on Final Fantasy IV, we're going to be continuing on through the lunar subterrane. A lot less. And we're starting right off with a boss. He really hates this sword, which is why he keeps it in his lair. He didn't hide it under a rock outside? No, that would be foolish. So this is Dark Mohammed. He's a little different than his apparently light counterparts, in that he starts the battle off with Mega Flare. Yeah, that thing Mohammed had a countdown for, he just uses it right off the bat. I'm gonna guess his version is weaker, since, you know, you have to run across it. That being said, Dark Mohammed's not too bad, despite the very powerful opening. He's got 60,000 HP, 77 strength, 145 defense, and in addition to Mega Flare, he knows Normal Ass Flare and Reflect. Oh shit! That's Normal Ass Flare at work. Okay, so I probably should have been more patient and healed before attacking, but to be fair, I was very impatient. So, honestly, I don't really think he's all that bad. You definitely do want to slow him down because he has very powerful spells. Basically, Mega Flare's party attack, Flare's a single attack. Both of them are pretty strong. Again, not instant knockout strong, thankfully, but you saw what he just did, right? Now, of course, if we throw up a blink or two, well, we only need to throw up one blink, thankfully, then that helps. A shell will help against Flare. I don't know about Mega Flare, though, since that does pierce Reflect. It's kinda hard to tell. Another strategy, however, is to cast Reflect on yourself. And then you can just cast spells on him, and if he hasn't reflected himself already, well, he'll probably counter with Flare. And that's not a good idea, because it'll hit a character with a Reflect on, and then he's gonna hurt himself, because I don't think Normal Ass Flare is able to pierce a Reflect, rather. Of course, since we do have that piercing magic augment, that might also help if you really feel like you need it, but honestly, I don't think you should, just because, again, we're throwing up Reflect. Of course, as per usual, this does run the risk of, if you get injured, there's not much you can do to heal well, since you'll have to use potions. That being said, nothing he does can really threaten us, except Mega Flare, and thankfully he doesn't seem to do that too often. I'm fairly positive that he is able to do it again, but we did slow him down, so that should help a little bit. And of course, that is a fair amount of damage. I mean, he does have 60,000, which is a fair bit, but we're chipping away at it pretty well. Oh, and I don't think he has any weaknesses either, but he doesn't absorb anything. And of course it's storming outside right now. Clearly that is a reflection of Dark Bahamut's pure anger, except in real life. And of course I said that right as he used Reflect. That was definitely on purpose. Right, so, can't really think of much else. I've pretty much gone over the entire strategy, unless he's weak to any other status effects. Actually, apparently he is weak to a fair few. You can Berserk him if you want, but, it's a decent strategy if you only want him attacking, but that does mean you'll have to throw up a blink more often, which, don't particularly want to do that. Especially since Edge no longer has ninjutsu on him, and I think it was really the most helpful thing, even though now it means Edge can't throw up a blink on himself, and it also means we can't instantly run from battle, which unfortunately... Oh shit, what? Why don't you have Reflect on, you jerk? Oh well, X-Potion will have to do. So anyway, what was I saying before? Oh, please don't hit Edge. Thank goodness. Oh yeah, it does mean I don't have a way to instantly run away from enemies, which normally isn't a problem, except with the armored fiends. I hate them oh so much, and hey! That was over faster than I thought it would be. See, Dark Mohammed's not so bad. Even if he does kind of cheat by ignoring the time limit it normally takes to cast Mega Flare, doesn't matter. You can take him down without too much of an issue. Ooh, good experience as well. Everyone but Cecil got a level. Kane is way behind. That is one problem with Kane. He's gone for so long that he has to play catch-up with the rest of the party for a long time. Anyway, we get Ragnarok, the actual most powerful sword that Cecil has access to in this version. Yeah, unfortunately, Excalibur isn't the best weapon in the game, which kinda sucks, but it does, oh my god, those stat boosts. Despite Excalibur being really tough most of the time, it does often get replaced as the best sword. In fact, I think Final Fantasy I is one of the few times in which it is the best sword. Actually, is the Masamune better than it? I never use that on warriors, I always give it to my red mage, because why wouldn't I? But yeah, usually it gets replaced by something else, and actually I think it is usually Ragnarok. Ragnarok's not always the ultimate weapon, but it is in this case. Ooh. You know, I figured out what I want to discuss in this episode. Because I went over pretty much everything I could about this dungeon last time. I still think it's okay from this point onwards, but the save points really should not have been lopsided. That was a bad decision. And yeah, other than just mentioning that a lot of enemies are shared between Lair of the Father, but the enemies that come from there are far easier, that's pretty much it. So, I guess now would be the perfect time to talk about the Lunar Trials. The Game Boy Advance exclusive optional dungeons. And I'm glad I'm not playing the Game Boy Advance version, so there's absolutely no temptation to do that. By the way, yeah, that part of the map doesn't fill out when you enter the room, and it's kinda stupid. Anyway, Lunar Trials. Basically, remember how I mentioned that after the Giant of Babel, you could play as every character in the game, other than Tello, of course, because he's the only one who's definitely dead. I think this is just Dark Sages, right? Yeah, Dark Sage and Moon Maidens. But anyway, yeah. Basically, the Lunar Trials were definitely a post-game thing, due to the fact that you unlocked it by beating the final boss. However, the thing is, you had to beat the final boss with certain characters. Every character had a Lunar Trial, with the exception of, I think, Palom and Porom, who shared a trial, so you had to beat the game as both of them. But yeah, you have to beat the final boss with certain characters in your party. Once you do that, their trials are unlocked. So you have to beat the final boss multiple times in order to get all of the trials. Now, I remembered this when I was thinking about Cecil's ultimate swords. He does have an even better sword in that version of the game. So, I'm gonna look up the Lunar Trials and see if... oh, sorry, it's the Lunar Ruins. That's the technical name of the final dungeon, located beneath the face on the moon. So, there are various other floors, apparently, that are based on the rest of the dungeons of the game. Most of them, at least. Those, I don't remember at all. But I do remember the Lunar Trials portion. So, let's just count how many trials there are. Yes, there's Yong's trial, and Edward's trial, and Rydia's trial, and Cecil's trial, Rosa's trial, Edge's trial, Kane's trial, Cid's trial, the twins' trial, and the final trial, which of course you have to beat all of the other trials to do. So, yeah, that's 8 characters. So, yeah, you do have to beat the game with 2 completely different parties. I think you do have to beat both Palom and Porom to unlock their trials together. Alright, so let's see. Cecil has to be in the party no matter what, so then you have to have a party of 4, so you can get 5 at a time, and then you switch out 4 characters, and let's see, in addition to that... Sorry, I'm very bad at doing this sort of math in my head, because I want to double and triple check it to make sure that I'm not fucking something up. It is just the extra 4, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh wait, no, it's 5 characters since you do have to do both Palom and Porom. That's great. So yeah, I think you have to beat the boss 3 times in order to actually get all the trials. That's pretty great. Anyway, I'll recheck my math because that doesn't sound quite right in just a second, because we have the Lunasaur, who is actually one of the harder bosses of the dungeon. I believe in previous versions you're attacked by 2 of them at a time, and they did have half the HP that this one does. This guy's got 46,000 HP, 75 strength, 145 defense, reflect, heal, bad breath, and bio. So, I believe he has a very specific pattern. In fact, I got kinda lucky because bad breath is pretty painful, but I don't think I got hit by it. Instead, he did the bio strategy, which he's supposed to start with bad breath. I don't know why he didn't, but I'm glad he didn't, because I would be in a lot of trouble if he did do that. That being said, you might have noticed that there were 2 treasure chests, so instead of getting the reward directly from him, you beat him, you get the treasures. And I'm just gonna say ahead of time, the treasures would have been good for this fight, because they're both ribbons. So, yeah. Not to say it's too little too late, because there's always use for ribbons, and ribbons are pretty good overall. In fact, I think they have good defense in this game as well, so perfect for Rosa and Rydia. That being said, bio... bio, pretty good. Anyway, this is gonna hurt him a lot. Well, Limit Breaker wouldn't really be the best on Rosa, but it would have been nice to have it on her for that. Cause we're doing a lot of damage. Seriously, that's a good one. I think you can just like use an elixir on him and that will insta-kill him or something like that. But why waste the elixir when I can just do this? Repeated 9,999 damages, and finish him off with a kick. A kick of light, more like. Wait, is Ragnarok even light elemental in this version? Or in this game, rather, because it would be the same in all versions. I'm going to check real quick. Actually, you know what? I will do that in the background of the Lunar Ruins thing. So, I do want to quickly go over what everyone does. Basically, Yong's trial is you have to fight a whole lot of monks, but if I remember correctly, they're actually, like, a lot on one screen, I think? Like, I think you fight them in teams of 8. And yeah, that's kinda cool. It's just a fight, so it's short, sweet, and to the point. Oh boy, we actually have a tough boss coming up. I will admit this guy, actually, he's varied between games. So, this is Plague Horror. This guy, of course, is a recolor of Ahriman, so he's basically an Ahriman, but better, because he casts Doom on the entire party. Now, in the original games, apparently haste is just a status. It's not tied to, like, the ATB bar, wait, no. Doom isn't necessarily tied to the ATB bar, it's just general time. So, by hasting, you do give yourself more attacks without the negative effect of speeding up your death timer. That, however, is not true here. So you might be wondering, why am I throwing up a haste if it's going to kill me faster? Well, because I want to do a lot of damage at once. That's pretty much the aim of the game here. He's got 33,333 HP, 66 strength. He's not really got any elemental weaknesses, and he's resistant to dark and earth. And in addition, I think he also has haste, protect, and shell. So I think one of his strategies is to try and haste you, but of course, in earlier versions, all that did was help you. Here, though, he is actually speeding up your time to death. Now, another strategy you can take here is killing off one character, then reviving them so that they will not have the doom timer on them. But as you can see, I negated that. No need. Actually, Phoenix would work here, so if Kain has any MP and everyone dies, he'll bring them all back. So honestly, there wasn't a huge hurry here. And I just realized we're running low on time, so I will have to finish that thing about the Lunar Trials in the next episode, hopefully, because I also want to go over the character thoughts, because I did find a text dump of those. And we got the Holy Lance, which is Kain's best weapon, of course. It's a pretty good lance. It's Holy Elements. Would have been useful for Lunasaur, but I didn't have it for Lunasaur, so that's just about that. Lowers his stamina, but whatever. Let's give Kain some damage. Anyway, yeah, so I thought the character thoughts would be more fitting for the final part of Lunar Subterrane, so I saved that. But it seems I'll also have to save discussion of the Lunar Ruins for next episode as well, so I'll have to remember that I already went over Yong's Trial, and indeed, I looked it up. It's teams of 8. So, next time on Final Fantasy IV, we're going to delve into the deepest reaches of the Lunar Subterrane, talk about the characters' thoughts and feelings, and discuss horrible GBA bonus dungeons that I don't like at all. Like I said, Yong's was short, sweet, and to the point, and it's just a straight fight, but some of the others are real bad. So, yeah, look forward to listening about that next time on Final Fantasy IV, and be glad you don't have to watch it.